What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, picking up right where we left off. I know the numbers keep going up. I'm now 11 days behind, but we're gonna try and get back to it. Sorry, I know the last couple of days I haven't been able to do as much content or stream. Unfortunately, had some family emergency stuff come up, but we're back and trying to stick with the schedule as best as we can. So appreciate your patience. But I do want to say that I mean, I do miss live streaming. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing like the instant feedback and conversation. But these videos have been awesome, so thank you to everybody for leaving a comment. They've been awesome kind of filling that gap since I have not been able to be as regular about or consistent with the schedule as I used to be. But hopefully we'll get back to that in the very near future. Okay, let's start here with Mac. Mac says, SPL needs to add more game modes or actually focus on the game part of Splinterlands. Ranked is now 0% fun, more like a daily chore. I mean, I don't disagree with you on that. I'd love to see more game modes. And it's funny because I literally just made a video about it's called the paradox of new game modes. So I mean, I would love to see new game modes. Don't get me wrong, but I do wonder how the game economy would respond to that, and if it would just end up diluting a lot of the demand just to a different place once again. But I don't disagree. All right, so Nicola says, let's see, EOS rewards are worthless, and we are going to change it to worthless. Oh, man, yeah, this is probably major end-of-season reward changes. I actually was okay with it. I know some people weren't, but I thought that it was an exploit, and I'm glad that they closed that loop. All right, so what's up, Intern Travel Channel? Thanks for being here. Vilson says, love the fact that they fixed it before EOS. Power says, I don't think this is the change we need. Well, sadly, it was. I mean, again, that would have been the old way of exploiting, where you could like literally just play for one day, get up as high as possible, and then walk away with a ton of glint. And yeah, I'm glad the team caught it, because that used to be an exploit in a different way before. All right, so Firebolt says, thanks for the update news. No problem. Thanks for being here. All right, so DJ says, I know things are tough right now for Splinterlands, and I'm all for looking at other games and pulling in things that they're doing well into our ecosystem. However, would love it if you also highlighted the things SPL is doing well compared to these other games. It can't be all roses for Parallel right now. You know me, I'm not trying to compare the games. I know I do it often, but they're in just completely different categories for me. Yes, they're both TCGs, but they're different kind of TCGs. And like one is close to being AAA studio, and another one is where we're at, right? More like an indie studio. Okay. I appreciate the question, DJ. I don't think I've been all down on Splinterlands. I think everybody recognizes that we're just in a position that Matt even warned everybody, right? He even warned everybody at the beginning of the year or end of last year, and he's just like, we're going to have to overhaul the entire thing, and we just need the community to be patient with us. So part of it is just being patient through that process and understanding that, you know, it's going to come out, hopefully, fingers crossed, better on the other side. I know right now it may not seem like it because we're getting a lot of these things piecemealed, but I do genuinely believe, even if people are disappointed with where things are at right now, what gets me kind of like optimistic about the future is if they do go hard on marketing and they can bring in hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of new eyeballs here that want to come check it out. It's easy to get onboarded and learn how the game is played and all that stuff. If they can do that, all of those people, which would be multiples larger, right, than what we are right now, all of them would approach this with fresh eyes and not see all that baggage, and not understand like, oh, I need a 10x multiplier, or I need this, or I need that, or I missed this thing. They would just see it for what it is, and, you know, hopefully if we're in a bull run and there's demand coming in for SPS because you have tens of thousands of people buying a couple thousand a piece, right, in order to make sure that they can earn some rewards, like all of that stuff could essentially be swept. I mean, it'll sweep a lot of stuff for us under the rug, right? If you see SPS do a 5 or 10x in you know, over the next 12 to 18 months, I think people will shut up and be like, okay, yeah, like I get it, right? The team was doing what they needed to do. But right now we're just in the middle of it. And so, looking at Parallel, it's not all roses for Parallel. You know, what's interesting is that Parallel is doing, the thing is, Parallel suffers from the same thing a lot of other TCGs do, right? And I read this, I was reading about this online, which I thought was interesting, where it's like a lot of times there's just a single meta, right? Or like a dominant meta that many people will go towards. And so therefore, like, that deck will be what people tend to go for, right? Whether it's Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone, and now, of course, Parallel. The same can be said about Splinterlands in certain ways, but there is value added to a lot of other cards when, you have different rule sets or things like that. So one of the things that Parallel is going to have to try and avoid or be cognizant of is the fact that, you don't want to get stuck with that kind of thing where there's like one dominant meta. Everybody loves Shroud, for example, or all the new players are playing Cathari because that's the best out of the box starter deck. And so, they're going to have to navigate that. And I have full confidence that they'll be able to. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I think that there are opportunities for the Splinterlands team to be able to look at, like, okay, how are they handling a lot of these different changes and, meta defining things or, meta changing things, and hopefully are able to figure out ways to make things interesting. Again, Splinterlands is unique in many ways when it comes to TCGs. And Matt has talked about that extensively on, the town halls and in interviews he's done with other places. His whole thing, just as a reminder for people, or maybe people have never heard it before, but he would talk about TCGs and say, it's always the same thing. And wouldn't it be cool if every time you played the game, there was a different set of rules? And now we have rule sets, right? So again, I think that it's unique in the Web3 space and does it quite well. And so we kind of just need to lean into that a little bit more. And the problem though is, the game starts to get more and more complicated, and I don't know, I don't know what this looks like for somebody with completely fresh eyes, that's coming into the space. But great comment. Hopefully that answered your, it wasn't really a question, but hopefully that highlighted some of the things that Splinterlands is doing. I don't want to judge. I don't know what the proper metaphor is, but I don't want to judge a cake by just the cake batter, right? So, like, I want to wait until it's done cooking, and right now we're still very much in the cake batter mode. All right, so Gary Ormston says, I played the Silver Ghost tournament and couldn't agree more. It was great fun to play with max cards, and it also helps you decide what to buy next. See? I'm glad I'm not the only one. What's Buzzin' says, Death by 1,000 Cuts. Definitely feels like that. John Wick says, the future problem Splinterlands is facing is the lack of rewards being able to be sold or traded. It's an NFT with non-tradable rewards, so you don't even need to play to earn. Just open packs and flip whatever you make. So, again, since we're talking about Parallel so much, there's a game where you only earn Prime and you are limited to earning Prime on 5 games per day. And they have more daily active users than we do. The game takes 5 times as long, right? It's about a 15-minute game, but it's significantly cheaper. So they do have something going for them there. But everything else about it is either free to play or soulbound rewards. Literally, you can play the entire game with just soulbound cards, which is interesting, right? But if we're just talking about rewards here, then we've seen other games get by without it. Now, I'll be honest with you, and I think I'm not the only one that agrees with this, and I would even say Matt kind of talks about this too, because he says, like, they're never going to be able to compete with a lot of these, top tier games or Web 2 quality games. And that is the simple fact that, like, the game as it is not good enough to entice people to play for free. That's just what it is, right? And so Matt has always talked about their competitive advantage being the fact that they are much closer to Web 3 than they are to Web 2 or even Web 2.5. So I would love to see them, I'm okay with just earning SPS per game. I know for people that have been around for the past 2-3 years, you look at everything that's gone soulbound and you're wondering to yourself, this sucks, right? Like, when are they going to add that back in? And the truth is, I don't think they can. I don't think they will, because they learned a lesson with all of us in real time. And that is when you're able to just print rewards and print money like that, the bots will come in force, right? They will come in mass. I mean, just understand, there's probably no more than a couple thousand people that are part of the Splinterlands community. And there's probably no more than a couple hundred people that frequent all the YouTube channels and Discord and stuff. Like, it's all the same names, right? It's not, I don't think that there's thousands of people that are like playing this game hardcore. I think there's probably thousands of accounts, right? That or thousands of people that are, maybe casual or have multiple accounts, but it's not anywhere near, like, I don't know, tons of people. Yet, at the height of the bull run, and I know there were probably a good amount of actual people that came to check out the game, but at the height of the bull run, we were at like over 500,000 daily active accounts. So just think about like how exploited to hell that system was. And we all had to learn that lesson with the team in real time. And the team, in my humble opinion, they were, I don't think that they attacked the problem as quickly as they should have. We'll put it that way, right? And this is not, and the thing is, I even respected the team's stance of like trying to do this from an economy standpoint, because I'm not even talking about banning bots, right? I'm literally just talking about, I respected the team's vantage point of like wanting to, or perspective of wanting to make sure that they did this from an economy standpoint, an incentive standpoint, rather, and be decentralized about it, rather than, just putting the ban hammer down, which is what we've essentially resorted to. But even still, even though I was agreeing with them, and it's just, it drained so much from the economy. It drained so much from all this. And again, the team was going through a rapid growth thing. So I can't even like hold their feet to the fire necessarily on this, because it is what it is, right? Like, call it whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to sit here and point fingers. Obviously, things have not gone the way that the team would have wanted over the last 2 years. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had two layoffs, right? Or 2 rounds of layoffs. But that was something that was just, we all learned it in real time with them, and it's definitely been a literal growing pain. Which is funny because the game has not grown. We've actually shrunk to under 20,000 daily active players. So I guess just to play on words. All right, so Vivo Sky, let's move on. Vivo Sky says, my Glint rewards dropped from 177,000 to 42,000 after the update. Yeah, but that will increase. So keep in mind, this will increase. And I know this is like 2 weeks ago, but this does increase every time you win a battle, right? So rather than it just being a static number the entire season based on where you're going to end, that will increase over time. So I knew that they would end up changing EOS rewards. I would make less than 1.5K a day, and I was appointed to get 70K. It was broken. All right, thanks, D. Tolan. Maxim Chair says, that's bad for the players who rent. Damn. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, if here's the thing. If you rent and play every day, then actually it's not a problem. Nothing's going to fundamentally change, right? But yeah. Last Hope says, thumbs up on the recent changes. I like them. Awesome. Okay. Well, there's someone who's enjoying it. All right. So Asmon says, hi. I knew immediately was dumb because not dependent on SPS. Fair enough. All right. So Asmon says, I mean, this should have been obvious. Bronze level decks were getting to diamond and WoW with no SPS. Oh yeah, it would have been crazy in Wild. All right, so Gregago says, I've given the changes a few seasons to smooth out, and I have never felt more lost playing this game than I do now. It's gut-wrenching that my best option is to bot in Wild. I'm starting to think this is unfixable. Never felt that way, and losing hope. Well, Gregago, just know that you are not alone. I don't have any solutions for you, and I wouldn't say that I'm, like, losing hope, but I will agree with you that from my vantage point, many things do seem unfixable, but I'm hopefully humble enough to understand that I'm not smart enough to see the long game and the big picture here, right? As much time as I spend in Splinterlands, like, and Matt is brilliant in many ways. He's also flawed in many ways, right? So I love, like, and if Matt's listening to this, Matt doesn't listen to this channel, but like if Matt's listening to this, I really, really appreciate the direction that he has taken the game since he has taken over, even though it's been disappointing for me in many ways. And so I don't know, where he's thinking through in terms of like big picture. And obviously he's going to release that to us in bits and pieces over time. But at the end of the day, like I don't see a reason to be hopeless and despondent, right? Like, what are you gonna do? If you're gonna be that way, then I actually encourage you to sell, right? For your own mental health. I care about you, stranger on the internet, right? I encourage you to sell and put the money somewhere else, right? Because that's the whole thing about, if we're looking at this through the investing lens, and this is not a financial channel, this is a gaming channel, but the whole don't invest more than you can lose, right? Or that you're willing or able to lose. So I think a lot of people, especially after how crazy that last bull run was, are just over allocated, right? Overexposed to Splinterlands. And it is tough to see the number, not just red, but so far down in the red. And so, again, from my vantage point, I think that if you're looking at SPS right now, it's like 1.5 cents. I don't think it'll be 1.5 cents during a raging bull market. I also can't see it going far above like 10 cents if the team isn't able to deliver in terms of bringing a bunch of people on board. But, then again, what do I know? This is not a price prediction or anything. This is just, I'm struggling to see the future as well. But like I said, I'm smart enough to know that I'm not smart enough to see the big picture, or at least, where Matt is taking things. And I do want to trust in his leadership and see where things go. So it hasn't like convinced me to like sell and just completely exit. Now that being said, I'm definitely exploring a lot of other games, but I don't want people to think that I'm exploring other games only because I'm trying to spite Splinterlands or whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? A lot of the changes have made it very difficult for me to play the way that I used to in Modern, but I've literally been saying this for the past year. I am excited for this bull run because there's going to be so many cool games launching. So whether Splinterlands is doing amazing or whether Splinterlands was doing not amazing, I was always planning on, getting involved and exploring a lot of other games out there. And I still think that that's a great way to go about things, right? Like, it's just, for me, it's a diversification of time, because this is not an investment, right? This is not a financial investment. It's what's that called? Entertainment investment, right? And it's actually quite odd. Splinterlands is a game that I've played now for, almost 2.5 years, almost every day, which is kind of nuts, right? And even if I'm not playing, I'm still checking in on it. But I wouldn't necessarily lose hope, Gregago. I know that things seem exceptionally bleak right now, but the Bitcoin halving just happened, and we haven't seen a full gaming run yet. That being said, are there other bets that if I had money today, I would put on those other projects than I would Splinterlands? Absolutely. Granted, I already have my bets placed in Splinterlands that have been made and have been staking and restaking for the past 2.5 years. But part of it is also just diversification and wanting to get involved in other projects. And that's not a reflection necessarily on Splinterlands and where things are at right now. Although I can't deny that, a lot of the changes which are designed for newer players, and a lot of the changes that have affected my gameplay have not had an impact. Of course they have. All right, so Asman says they aren't cards holding value. They are airdrop givers holding value. Rebellion cards are holding their value. Airdrop givers holding value. Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious to see if and when the shoe drops on Rebellion. When do people start offloading a bunch of stuff? Because we're not quite at the halfway point of the airdrops, but there's only 9 airdrops, and we're about to finish the 3rd. So yeah, could be interesting. Could be a very fascinating end of the year. Dragon says, I'm about to buy into Rebellion this week. So I'm so happy to hear those numbers. Those legendary summoners are going to be exciting. Dual summoners and tactics are both a new theme. Yeah, we already got all the stats, but Dragon, wish you the best of luck. All right, so Techno says, I know the reason, and whoever following the trends of the game knows the reason behind when the last airdrop card be given, or maybe some weeks before, people will, with a bunch of Rebellion cards, will start to dump the prices of those. I'm awaiting for that moment on the future to get some of my favorites to add to my collection. I guess I'm waiting until then too. Yeah, I'll be waiting until then. What's fascinating is to see, like, we only have like 700,000 packs opened, right? And that's servicing the entire community right now. But it's like once Rebellion is no longer available or close to that, how many packs do we truly need as a community? And where's that equilibrium price that everybody is willing to actually buy in? All right, so we're doing okay on time. I'm good to go for a little bit more. And I know I'm definitely taking my time with some of these questions, so I apologize. All right, so Gritarion says, you mentioned that Glint rewards equate to the guaranteed airdrop of 33%, that we were getting chests, which is true, but that means the other parts of the rewards, SPS merits potions, have just vanished. Yes, SPS moved to the ranked pool, but I, for one, valued merits to build my Gladius deck, and potions were definitely tradable peer-to-peer by opening packs on behalf of... that's interesting. We now need to use 33% of Glint rewarded to get the same 100%. Feels like overall the rewards have been nerfed with the new changes, hoping we can make adjustments to at least get close to the value. Well, so this is something that I would pause on or put on hold. The team has already said that they're looking at the numbers, right? They want a couple of seasons worth of data. They're looking at the numbers. They want to offer different things, right? Like guaranteed chests or guaranteed rarities. I think Matt, I forgot what he put in that post, but they're considering, changing the prices or increasing the amount of glint. So, I think a lot of this stuff will get smoothed out over the next couple of months. And yes, I know months is a long time, but keep in mind that 1 month is 2 seasons. And I think that this is not going to be like hey, we're going to fix this right now process. This is going to be like, hey, we're looking at the first 2 months worth of data, which they don't even have yet, right? 2 months worth of data, 2 seasons worth of data, the first month of data. And we're going to make changes X, Y, Z, right? And then after that, it'll be changes A, B, C, and then changes 1, 2, 3, whatever. All right, Apollo saying, the problem I see, I'm going to overspend on Rebellion of 18 months before they are removed from Modern and prices tank like Untamed. Yeah, I mean, I just don't have, or I'm not willing to spend the capital on Rebellion, but that is definitely a fear. So I don't know what that looks like, but I do think you will get a lot of people speculating towards the end, which could make things interesting. Intern Travel Channel, thank you so much for the comments. Scott Thompson says, well, the change blows chunks. Gone from 50 plus gold chests per season to 100,000 glint to what looks like 15,000. Didn't even bother to use any lube. Again, keep in mind, I'm sure you didn't actually end the season with 15,000, but that will increase over time with every win that you have. So Ricardo says, now this is something that was needed. Oh, this is the end of season rewards as well. But with this change, it gives incentive to go and battle more in Modern and try to reach for champion as well. It is demotivating to see a big chunk of glint out the window, but in the long run, I mean, it gets people to play a lot more too, right? So I think that that's important. Before your end of season, like if you played an extra game or two and you kind of like, let's say you played 2 games, right? So you played one, you won one, and you lost one. So you're at the same exact rating. Your glint would remain the same, right, for end of season, but so your end of season glint would have remained the same. Whereas now, because you got that win, it actually goes up, right, for each thing. And I know that's not a perfect comparison apple to apples, but it is what it is. Scott says, got a 10% of my usual rewards after 4 years of playing, grinding, and buying cars. Oh, you've been here longer than I have. That's a real kick in the crotch. Honestly, feel like just selling up. Well, you wouldn't be the first, and if you do, I genuinely wish you the best, and please let me know where you're going because I'm curious to see what other games are attracting people. All right, Battle Wagons and Burn saved Rebellion. Interesting. Okay. DJ says, if you're valuing Rebellion packs without considering the packs that the DAO owns, then that's on you as an investor. Okay, so this is when I was talking about the fact that like we're at 700 or 800, maybe not almost 900,000 packs. And the DAO, by the end of this, if we don't, sell out ahead of time, is going to be sitting on like 250,000 packs or 750,000. So what DJ is saying here is that if you're not factoring that in, that's on you as an investor. You have to assume that those DAO packs will make their way into circulation at some point. Assuming they are as good as burned isn't wise. So saying that the DAO will devalue the rebellion packs doesn't seem like the correct way of thinking about it. Those packs are part of the circulating supply, even though they're held by the DAO. Well, so if we're going to get technical here, DJ, and I know what you're saying, but if we're going to get technical here, right, we don't consider the SPS and the DAO to be part of the circulating supply in this, or, well, I guess we do. We circulating supply, but not the liquid supply, meaning that the SPS and the DAO, we don't factor that into the price of where SPS is right now. We really just look at what's liquid. And I know this is kind of a dumb exercise, so this is on me, but it's like, I mean, we could do that with rebellion packs, but it's just not apples to apples, right? So yes, I agree. It's going to come out at some point, right? Like unless the DAO magically chooses to burn it. But then what we're looking at right now, I mean, hot damn, like if we don't sell any more packs, think about it this way. Rebellions, the set value of Rebellion is like $4 a pack right now. And, the pack price on Hive Engine is not too far below that. But if you consider the fact that if we don't sell another pack of Rebellion, we would essentially double the amount, then you'd have to reduce those by half, or roughly half. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should be selling my Rebellion packs now, buying back later when the DAO releases them. All right, so Mondred says, we were talking about this in Mavs earlier. Okay, Rebellion cards. Okay, so burn from the beginning, reduction in bulk buy bonuses. Matt acknowledging the Seal Christmas sale was a huge mistake. This is what convinced me to buy the pre-sale. It's been great, halfway to paying off my Rebellion already. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Mondred. I hope you're actually actualizing that, though, because there's a very big difference from when you were making SPS and it was at 3.5 cents versus where it's at now of 1.5 cents. All right, so Powis, what's the incentive for people to buy more packs at the end of Rebellion? The airdrop will be almost over, so staking isn't the incentive. Playing in Modern for another year. There are a bunch of degens that speculate on new people coming in or people wanting to buy cards at the end. So, for example, and this isn't a perfect analogy or a perfect comparison, but we saw a lot of Riftwatcher packs sold at the end of the Riftwatcher sale, right before they burned out. And that was fascinating because, again, maybe people were just buying for themselves, but you can clearly see that Riftwatchers is now valued at the lowest possible that it has ever been. And so that was a bad move, thinking that, people are going to want it when it's no longer there. But that behavior doesn't change. That mindset doesn't change. Everybody looks at something that's scarce and says, well, if I want it, then other people are going to want it in the future. And, not everything's Bitcoin. So KGM says, do a wagons program for existing packs to help them get sold and open up. The team is one step ahead of greedy people. Thanks for the video. I look for the next one. Yeah, I'd love to see wagons get used in some other way. It seems underutilized right now, even though they're still at the beginning of it. But my guess is that we won't see any other utility for wagons until after all the airdrops are complete, just to avoid confusion and, have the team focus on what they need to focus on. Okay, let's just do a couple more, and then I'll go ahead and close this out, because now we're 9 days behind. All right, so Philosopher says, dumped all my assets a few months back and put it into ETH. Made so much versus staying in a dying game where all assets are going down. Packs, SPS, land, etc. Well, I'm happy for your gain. Philosopher says, even if the bots or players consolidating, that will just hurt asset prices more. Vicious cycle downwards. You should get out while you still got something for your assets. Fair enough. Well, that is your advice from Philosopher. All right, so King Bo says, the 2x is good. I was showing 132. With 2x, it dropped a lot initially, but by the time the season finished, it'll be higher with my wins, already up to 145K and 4 days to go. All right, so glad you could see the big picture there. Team Phoenix Rising. Whoa, we have not had Team Phoenix Rising here in a while. I haven't seen your name. How you been? You were one of the biggest, we'll call it critics I don't know, like last year. All right, so I don't even know what this comment is going to be about, but I can always tell it's going to be fun. Okay, so I absolutely love the new glint system. Oh, well, that was totally unexpected. I'm very happy to hear that. Not only am I no longer getting SPS from the end of seasons and daily rewards, but I'm opening Elite Master Draws and getting 95% comments. I have gotten less than 10 copies of rare cards and 0 epics. Okay, I think that was actually sarcastic. You keep bragging you are a team. You are a member of the team, but you have mentioned in a previous video you won't tell the team about our ideas. How does that help? All right, so first of all, my position with the team is as a contractor, of which I haven't done much recently, obviously, and that's literally only on the music side. I have shared ideas with them, but I'll tell you this. The team is actually very active in Discord. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Active is the wrong word. They are they very much are tracking what's going on in Discord and have those conversations. So I don't think that there's, anything on my channel that is, groundbreaking or new, or that I have all the fantastic ideas here. I think, a lot of stuff probably gets discussed in way more detail on Discord or on X or on any of these other platforms that the team is following. So, the team is aware of ideas. Really what it comes down to is bandwidth, resources, and execution. I think that there's a lot of things that they want to do. They just literally cannot at this point in time. And hopefully they will be able to in the future. But, that kind of comes down to, how patient are you willing to be? And to close this out, right? I don't mean to speak for him, but longtime contributor to the channel, Darkest Night. Like one of his biggest gripes is a lot of the same things that you guys have voiced here, which is opportunity cost, right? So for him, he was spending tons of money on Splinterlands and enjoy the game, and there was obviously like the battle helper ban, whatever. He was kind of on the other side of me when it came to that, and that was kind of like maybe the beginning of the end, or if not the full end for him within Splinterlands. But where he when he and I talk now, a lot of it is also regret for just being so myopic, if that's the right word, on and narrowly focused on Splinterlands rather than exploring all the cool stuff that's been out there. And basically what we were talking about is the fact that he introduced me to Parallel back in like August of last year, and Prime was sitting at $2 and it's over $20 today. And so it's stuff like that where it's like, man, I wish we'd been paying a little bit more attention, because it's not just that. Like, had we been playing the game a little bit more, we would have been able to collect not just Prime, but a bunch of other assets. And the truth is, as we go along and some of these other games start popping off, that regret is only going to grow more and more, because it's just like, oh, man, like I heard about this. Like I know already for myself, people have been telling me about Cypher, people have been telling me about Star Atlas, people have been telling me about a bunch of other, Illuvium. And I haven't made the time. So it's not even that I don't have I just have not made the time to like really dive in. And it's just like, man, once Illuvium and Star Atlas and all these games start hitting new all-time highs, I'm the one that's going to feel like an idiot, right? That's just like, oh, well, this sucks. But, that's on me. And that's not me being bitter about like, I still genuinely enjoy analyzing and discussing the Splinterlands ecosystem just because I'm so involved in it. So I don't want you to think that I'm just, throwing shade or whatever, but I'm just trying to explain part of what I see as a very common feeling or sentiment across a lot of the player base, especially when they see a lot of other games starting to pop off. It's like this regret or FOMO or sunk cost fallacy is the wrong. Well, maybe sunk cost fallacy does play a part here, right? Because a lot of people don't want to sell when they're at a loss. But it's like, damn. I mean, if you had sold your assets here and gone to a game like Parallel back in even October of last year, I mean you would have like 10x'd, and I think a lot of people might have been able to recover whatever they had lost. But that's not the world we live in. And it is what it is. You gotta roll with the punches. So that's why I'm very much like, hey, if you're like wanting to go explore stuff and leave. I'm not trying to like kick people out, and nor am I saying that like this is a great time to sell. In fact, I think that this is one of the worst times to sell. But I recognize that there is tremendous opportunity in the rest of the market. We just passed the Bitcoin halving, and there's just, a lot of excitement generally about what's going on in a lot of different spaces and sectors, not just even gaming. And so, if it's about money for you, then yeah, go make some money, right? Like, but if it's about the game and sticking around for the long term, and I don't mean to romanticize that and glorify it, right? I'm not saying like, oh, you're paper-handed selling. No, like, I mean, everybody got bills to pay, right? So, everybody's trying to like hit the jackpot. So I respect the hustle. And if you want to be able to just go and make some money, I'm still saying it now. I think that there's tremendous opportunity elsewhere. And I don't say that lightly, and this is not me throwing shade. I'm not selling anything in Splinterlands, right? Like, in fact, I've started buying SPS once again. That'll be another video soon, right? Like, so, but that's a separate topic completely. But my point is that, when we're having an honest, or at least for me, I'm trying to be as honest and objective in terms of like my analysis of where the team is at, where the market is at, and how those two intersect and overlap. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to see things taking off for Splinterlands in the next 3 to 6 months, considering the team is still very much in build mode. And I generally look at the next 3 to 6 months of being a very exciting time in crypto, or gaming specifically, right? Just because we're post-halving now, and I think the summertime will be similar to 2020. That being said, it's not like I think after 6 months everything is dead. I mean, I hope not. But in fact, I think the blow-off top happens hopefully end of the year or sometime next year. But that aside, I understand where people are at and the FOMO that they're feeling and the sunk cost fallacy and all that stuff. So, do what you got to do. I'm not going to sit here and shame you, and I genuinely will wish you the best. And I appreciate you guys for taking the time to comment, spend time here. I will try to get back to doing more live so we can do this in real time. But that is all I have for you guys in this video. Catch you all in the next one, and see you around the game. Take care.